The Minister of Environment has ordered the closure of a restaurant. The restaurant is believed to be too close to the Spintex Gold filling station. Mahama Yariga took the decision as he, together with a team from the Environmental Protection Agency, toured some fuel stations in the capital city. Meanwhile, the EPA has identified a fuel station in the same area without permit. Anodame is where the team and has joined us with more. Hello, Hannah. What more can you report?
Yes, just as you reported, we are going around with the Environmental Protection Agency and the Minister of Environment, Science and Technology, and the main purpose is to check these filling stations for their environmental and building permits. Also to check for overloading. We've been to about 6 filling stations, and most of them are seriously overloaded. Apart from the pumps that they have, some of them have restaurants. In one of them, the one exactly in front of the Ideal College, for instance, we counted as many as 12 other facilities. We saw banks in there, we saw ATMs, we saw a spa, we saw a church, and all of these do not have the required permits that they need to have all these other facilities there. Also, and the EPA is not so comfortable that some of these filling stations have restaurants in there because they are highly flammable. So should there be any spark, we know what it will amount to. Now, we are just at mile 7 in Gat West, and we have just come across a filling station that was being put up that has been demolished. And that's not the only one, actually, because we also saw earlier on some of them that were being springing up without permit. I have with me the acting deputy executive director technical of the Environmental Protection Agency. He's Ebenezer Ampasapong. Now, the question I'm putting to him is, we usually see these demolitions after major disasters. Will this last?
Well, certainly we should sustain these demolitions, not only demolitions. Actually, the best is to prevent it before they even spring up. We do have, of course, challenges with trying to follow up on all that. That's why we all need to work together in a fashion where we will be each other's keeper. The public will report, we can also take action and all that. But it's still a challenge. We will sustain this activity. Even before today, we have a team going around.
I know about that, but we also saw that about 3 of these filling stations that we have been to do not have permits, but their buildings are up. What did the EPA and other regulatory bodies do? Didn't they see them springing up?
Some we may have seen, some we did not see. And that's why I said it's a shared thing. When you utilize that, we can go near. And the events in the past week has shown us the need to strengthen our systems to be able to follow up on all this. Deal with them right from the beginning. And it's not only for filling stations alone. You realize that as the people living buildings, we have challenges with waiting to obtain the necessary permits before we start.
Well, exactly. So is this going to be replicated across the country?
As far as we are within our mandate, we would do that.
Well, Hannah,
to work with the other stakeholders, because it's better we work in that fashion, given the resources each other has.
And finally, before you go, we have seen that a lot of these filling stations do have restaurants. You issued a directive to that effect that we may have these closed.
Yes, certainly we would generally look at that situation and stop them. But we have to also look at them on case-by-case basis.
Hello, Hannah.
If the two can coexist, then we would look at that. But generally, the ones that we've seen so far, we were issuing directives for them to close down those facilities.
So, Kamini, that is it.
Now, Hannah, just before Mr. Sampong goes, I don't get a sense of what happens to those filling stations who put up their structures without permits. What happens to those people?
I can't hear.
Kamini, can you come again?
Well, I'm asking that what happens to those filling station owners who put up their structures without permits?
So he's asking now what happened to the owners of these filling stations that you closed down their...
We're not the ones we've seen so far. The ones we've seen so far without permits, we'll close them right down to them. They stop work and give them a notice to decommission the facility. Once they comply with it within our law, that's what the law allows us to do. If they do not comply, then we have an option to go to the court.
Very well.
Kemini, I must add that a lot of these owners of the filling stations have been summoned to the Environmental Protection Agency tomorrow morning at 10 to answer a lot of questions. Also, all Environmental Protection Agency executive directors in the various regions have also been summoned to Greater Accra for an emergency meeting tomorrow, on the same issue.
Hannah, and thank you very much for your time. Now, Hannah joined us from a tour with the EPA and the Minister of Environment. And now she's stationed at Chimota Mile 7. And we're going to stay in that area for a bit longer, because several structures believed to be in waterways around the Mile 7 area are being razed to the ground. According to the Gawes Municipal Assembly, the exercise, which started last week, is aimed at mitigating the effects of the perennial floods in the area. Benjamin Hinaku is there for us and has joined me over the telephone with more. Hello, Benjamin.
Yes, Kemini.
How many structures are we looking at in this exercise?
For where I am now, as of Friday, there were a total of 7 cubicles belonging to the owner of the washing bay. As of Friday, 5 of these cubicles were pulled down. And also part of the filling station that, as we've been made to understand, does not have permits. Also, part of it had been put down just today. The canopy under which the pumps are installed, part of it has also been pulled down. There were earlier attempts by people close to the Member of Parliament for Ayawaso East, Honorable Mustafa Ahmed, who I'm told owns the filling station here. These persons close to him were trying to resist the attempts of the police and the Municipal Assembly from undertaking the demolition exercise. But part of it had been pulled down, that's the canopy, but they've left the main structure, the main building. They've directed the Member of Parliament to convert it into another commercial activity rather than a filling station, because from all indications, there's no permit, both structural and environmental-wise, to have this filling station put up here. I've also gathered from my checks that the same owner has another filling station at Dakuman, and they're also facing similar instances of wrong siting and the lack of permits and all that. So currently, as I speak, the 5 cubicles that were pulled down last Friday, there was another one that has been pulled, still belonging to the washing bay, the owner of the washing bay. There are 2 cubicles which have been left.
What have members in the community or affected persons been telling you?
They are excited. For those that I spoke to, because I remember some time back, I came around, spoke to a number of families, people living here. They were complaining bitterly. Now, seeing this, they tell me that it is a very good start to at least see some action being taken. And they also, as I speak now, there is a bridge that is the Stilton. There's a river that runs through, even though we refer to it as a gutter, but it is a river. So as I speak now, there's a bulldozer working. They even had a problem. So they are desilting this gutter, or let me say the drain. They are desilting it to make way for a larger space to allow for when the water flows down, it can actually go through and run down.
Are we expecting more structures to go down?
For this very neighborhood, no, but the MCE, as of last week and even this morning, tells me that there are other locations within his municipality, that is the Gawes municipality, that have been earmarked for said demolition. After last Friday, there were simultaneous exercises going on.
Benjamin, we'll leave it here for now. Thank you very much. Benjamin Hinaku joined us from Chimota Mile 7, where several structures have been razed down to mitigate effects of the perennial floods in the area. Now, we'll stay on demolitions. Member of Parliament for Odududu constituency, Sojoy News, he halted an Accra Metropolitan Assembly-led demolition because the Assembly failed to notify and give adequate time to affected persons. There was some confusion when Neelanti Vanderpoy moved to halt the exercise in Bukom. He insists the AMA has to do the right thing. I spoke to him minutes ago.
The AMA demolition exercise in Odududu has nothing to do with the flag. You understand?
Okay.
They said that the chiefs are complaining about nuisance posed by people who have extended their activities to the street. I said it impedes traffic flow. And since we're going to have more, the chiefs felt that there must be that exercise to rid our street of people who have encroached on the pedestrian walkways and the rest. So that is what they were embarking upon. It has nothing really to do with the flag. So I said that, yes, if that is this thing of the chiefs, I cannot stand in the way of the chiefs as far as development is concerned. But I wish that adequate notice is served. So I pleaded with the chiefs yesterday that we should momentarily stop the program, the exercise, so that yesterday and today will be used to sensitize the public, notify the people who have their kiosks, their chairs, their tables and things in places where they are not supposed to, so that they will remove them.
But we're also learning that indeed notice were given to owners of these structures you've mentioned.
The people said they were not notified. I asked the AMA, when was that notice served?
About a month ago, I'm told.
They say about 3 months ago and also about a month ago. Madam, even if you served notice about a month ago, what was wrong with the AMA using 2 or 3 days before this exercise to go around and announce to people that the notice we served a month ago, we are embarking on the exercise from tomorrow. So remove your thing.
Very well. Now, what would you do next? Because I understand also that this exercise has to take place to clear the streets. What will be your next move?
The exercise is going to continue. From yesterday, there are vans going around announcing to the people to remove their tables and things from the side of the road, the pavements and the way in the constituency. I have personally been able to talk to some of the community leaders, the former assembly members and the rest, and ask them to go around and inform the people accordingly. And that has been done. So the exercise will continue. But I'm asking them to do it appropriately. They should do the exercise in such a way that those who are not also encroaching on walkways and the rest are not affected.
Very well.
This exercise do not call for huge machine, does not call for soldiers with guns and all those things to also create fear and panic. It doesn't call for those things.
Well, Bukom is not the only community faced with some sort of demolition. Structures located behind the public toilet circle have also been demolished. Michaela Anderson has been on that beat, as she's here with me in the studio with further details. What more can you really tell us about this demolition? Which area specifically in circle?
Well, the demolition is taking place at the Obra spot, that's specifically behind the public toilet, and all the structures along that stretch are being pulled down because the AMA is saying those structures are on waterway. But the residents and the traders, they are not happy because they are saying they have not been given any prior notice. They say there are some of their wares, some of them sell drinks, used clothes, which we call fos, and all that, and they're saying most of their wares have been seized, and they don't understand why the AMA would not give them notice.
Everybody seems to say that about the AMA.
Moving in today, but speaking to the AMA, I get a sense they were given notice. That was they were notified last year, October.
That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago, but you know the AMA moved in today.
Did the AMA offer reasons they didn't take the step immediately?
According to them, they gave them up until October, but then this residents told me that 3 weeks back, the AMA came around to collect 100 Ghana cedis each from everybody who lives in that particular area. And so they want the money.
Did they know why the money was collected?
No, they are, according to them, that land was given to them by the AMA. So if the AMA want to evict them, why don't they just give them a notice, say, okay, move, I'm giving you up until this time to move. But then they move in today, and this morning, all their structures have been pulled down.
Did the AMA say why it had to take 100 cedis from each person who occupied?
They will not give any response on record regarding that issue. They are saying due to what happened last Wednesday, they just had to move in because that place that whole area was inundated, if you recall. So
how many structures are we looking at in that area?
I can't say on authority the number of structures, but I can say scores of them. You know, there are wooden structures and then containers just right behind the
public toilets at Obras Sports. Thank you very much, Michaela. Now, there have been fears of an outbreak of cholera in the aftermath of the devastating twin flood and fire disaster which struck Accra last week. In line with its mandate, the Greater Accra Regional Health Directorate of the Ghana Health Service is calling for frequent collection of waste, especially along drains. Greater Accra Regional Director of the service, Dr. Linda Vanotu, is meanwhile urging residents to take keen interest in maintaining good sanitary practices.
Rains come and we are always ready for cholera, especially in the Greater Accra region. And just as a reminder of what happened last year, with the rains that we saw last year, which did not go on as we are seeing now, the region, Greater Accra, recorded over 20,000 cases of cholera with 121 deaths. And more than half, just about half of them were actually in the Accra metropolis. That is why we are concerned about the rains. And we as a Ghana Health Service, Greater Accra region, actually start looking out for it and giving alerts, preparing our facilities before the rain starts. So we've been doing that. Last year's cholera came into 2015. So when we started the year 2015, we're still recording cases of cholera. It didn't really stop till about almost a month now, where we are having diarrheal cases, but we haven't recorded cholera cases. In principle, it's a good idea to draw attention to the importance of environmental sanitation, a good one, because that will also translate into the home. As you clean the environment, you also clean your home. But I also believe that the assemblies and the local government should have a way of cutting it immediately the rubbish is collected and dumped by the gutter side. Because now we are in the rainy season. It can rain any day, any time. So if this is pushed out and it's not collected, then it goes back into the drains. And most of it is plastic bag that will not decompose. So it is important that it is done together. I think that's very, very, very important. And as we also do this, there should be a goal for doing it. We should be looking at how this is contributing towards disease prevention, for example. And here we can talk about cholera for the Greater Accra region and other diarrheal diseases, as I've said. So we should be looking at how this is working vis-a-vis the cases that we are recording in the facilities. So I think that in principle it is good, but the process and the management is what needs to be done.
Dr. Vanotu has also called for proper hand washing, especially before meals and after visiting the toilets, to help avert spread of cholera this year.
Hand washing alone can reduce these things drastically.
Okay. When you talk about hand wash, is this, is this the hand that we're washing, or we're extending to other parts?
You extend a little out.
Okay.
Yes, but the most important thing is the soap and the water that you are using. Even if it's a small bowl of water, don't put your hand in it and wash it. Pour onto your hand. And these things happen when people go to chop bars to eat, and they do that at home. At home, a lot of people would wash their hands under their tap if they have, or they'll fetch water and pour on their hand. But when they go out to eat, you find that they fetch
bring you a bowl,
a small bowl of water, and you wash your hand in it before you eat. So whatever is on your hand is actually still there, because you put your hand in this water and you put it into your mouth. That's why we would say that the chop bar keepers should change the way they do things. And when you go to eat, because it is going into your mouth, be concerned. Do not accept this bowl. Let them give you, even if it's a cup of water, the bowl should be empty, so that you rather pour the water onto your hand and wash it with soap. And let's teach the children. You see, if a child goes to town and finds something that is attractive and wants to eat that, if the thing is wrapped, because the child has not washed their hands, teach the child not to hold the food itself. And that means that whatever is being used to wrap this food should also be clean. There are so many ways that we can get infected, but there are also so many ways that we can keep ourselves from getting infected.
You're watching Joy News today. There's business news ahead. Don't go away. Thanks for staying on the program. Now, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Insurance Association, Achu Menyowovo, has been defending plans by the association to increase the premium for the third-party insurance policy. The increment, which was supposed to have taken effect today, has been put on hold until further notice. He spoke to me earlier on Joy News Desk.
The third-party risks, which constitute the compulsory, the injury and death, which constitute the compulsory third-party insurance policy that we sell, we have not been able to price it appropriately. So what we have done now is to apply the basic principles of severity and frequency. How frequently do we get accidents on our roads resulting in claims on the third party? Also, how severe the impact, the financial impact of those accidents are on us. Looking at the records, we realize that because of the rampant accidents on our roads, the third-party risk and the claims that come out of it are becoming too much for insurers to bear. And so there is a need to appropriately price that risk. That is what we have done. It is not just increasing premiums. It is determining an appropriate pricing mechanism for the third-party risk. That is what we have done.
But this also, I mean, there's no denying that it makes it more expensive for the policy holder. What thoughts have gone into that?
You know, definitely that is what the person buying the insurance will think. But you see, that person buying the insurance is transferring his liabilities for injuring pedestrians, injuring passengers.
Mr. Emmanuel, I get that. Now, the thought is the fact that many more people do not take claims. When you take a year, many more people do not take claims than do. And so going up on the premiums seems as though it would have the insurance companies benefit more than the policy holders.
Unfortunately, that is not true. The facts do not bear what you have just said. If you look at claims that insurers pay, especially on the third-party liabilities, like a passenger vehicle carrying 30-something passengers, going from Accra to Kumasi, paying a premium of less than, far less than 50 pesos a day, 50 pesos a day, and going to crash that vehicle, killing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 passengers and injuring several. Insurance companies bear the responsibility of compensating those victims.
Well, that's it for the segment. We can now take a look at some sports stories. When we return, don't go away.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday Sports, proudly brought to you by Mixi Milk Powder. Let's begin with the build-up to the friendly international between Ghana and Togo later this afternoon. Black Stars coach Avram Grant has been telling us about the importance of this game.
The most important is the game against Mauritius, but tomorrow is a friendly game. In a friendly game, we're checking the shape of the players, you know, and this period of time after the season, maybe some players are not in fit, but as I saw the training, everybody is exciting. They trained very well, and I'm very happy for this, but I want to see it in the game. And second, about the system. We play in our system. We want to see how the players remember this and are doing it well, including the young players, the new players in the squad.
A friendly international later this afternoon, Emmanuel Adebayo has been missing from the camp of the Hawks of Togo. His coach, Tom Steinfeld, has been speaking to Joy Sports about why the player is unavailable for selection.
I selected 23 players. In my eyes, 23 very good players, and Emmanuel was one of them. But Emmanuel decided not to be available into the camp. He trained only twice, and he was never in the hotel, and that made him unavailable for selection. But again, I would love to work with Emmanuel because he's a very good player, a very good striker. He has still the quality to do it. But if maybe due family reasons, I don't know, but if he is not available for camping, is also not available to play for the national team.
And the Accra Sports Stadium pitch has been in the news for all the wrong reasons in the last few months. The man in charge for the pitch ahead of the friendly international between Ghana and Togo, Frank Abuahini of Green Grass Technology, has been keeping us up to speed with the state of the Accra Sports Stadium pitch.
So far, there's no issues with the pitch as far as we are concerned. We have to do all the normal preparatory work, aeration, fertilization that's taking place this morning. We'll roll the pitch, cut the pitch tomorrow morning. We'll roll it and prepare it as per normal to international standard before the match tomorrow.
And we'll be looking forward to a great game later this afternoon. Away from that friendly international, Accra Heart of Oak were in action in the CAF Confed Cup over the weekend, drawing 1-0 with Esperance Sportive de Tunis, thereby going out 5-1 on aggregate. Board member Frank Nelson tells George News that the team have learned their lessons going into the future.
I think that we have a lot of lessons to learn, both technically, from the player side, from the management side, from investment department of it. We need to look at it and be able to see these are our mistakes, this is where we fall short. And I think if we have the opportunity to progress next year into this competition, I think we will do better if we put all our mistakes into consideration and be able to move forward.
Team Ghana is just a few months away from the All-African Games, and the issue of funding has reared its ugly head again. The Ghana Athletics boss, the Ghana Athletics boss, that Professor Frank Dodu, has been telling Joy News about the challenges that the athletics body is going through ahead of the Games.
The athletes, the season is over, and I'll tell you why. When I was an athlete, and many years since then, what happens is we tell the athletes that the support is going to come, so they should forego the summer jobs that they get. They forego the summer jobs, and one of two things happens. Either the money doesn't come, and so they don't get to go to the games, or what happens is that they go to the games and then they don't get their allowances, and psychologically it's not a good thing, because the next year when you call them for the All-Africa, for the Olympic Games, they come to camp already in a really bad mood, they get antagonistic and so on and so forth. So I think it's an even better situation to tell the athletes, look, this year is not happening, so you guys work, let's resume in September and start training for the Rio Olympics, than to sort of keep leading them on when or if the money isn't going to come in. And that's why I think something needs to be done really quickly. And it's not just for athletics.
Professor Francis Dodu is the chairperson of the Ghana Athletics Authority, and that's it for sports, proudly brought to you by Mixi Milk Powder.
Well, thanks for staying on the program. Now, there was an explosion earlier this morning at the Ministry of Defense building at 37 in Accra. The ministry's central air conditioning system is said to have exploded. The situation has been brought under control. Let's join my colleague Matilda Vomega, who is on the ground with more from the scene. Hello, Matilda. Matilda, what can you tell us about the intensity of this fire?
Well, I managed to speak to the Deputy National Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Fire Service, and he told me that the fire was put out about 30 minutes ago. The fire was put out about 30 minutes ago, and it wasn't a major fire outbreak. It was in one of the air conditioning units, which he told me that with timely intervention of the Ghana Armed Forces Fire Unit, which was at the scene before they got there, they managed to put out the fire in 3 minutes. They were able to locate the source of the fire, which helped them to put it out. But they don't know the cause of the fire as we speak now. What he can tell me is that the suspect is some electrical fault. But for the they are telling the workers at the the Defense Ministry not to put on any AC until they are able to conclude their investigation. So for now, the officers within the Ministry of Defense have been asked not to use their AC. They should report to the fund and all that. So they are still conducting their investigation.
Well, we'll leave it here.
The exact details of the fire.
Well, Olivia, I'm grateful for your time. From the Ministry of Defense, let's go to Ground Zero. And you recall that the President has directed the flags fly at half-mast as he declares 3 days of mourning following across disastrous floods and fire which killed over 150 people. Now, President John Dramani Mahama gave this directive after a crisis meeting was held at the Flagstaff House over the devastation on Thursday. While we're learning, the former President John Ejekunkufo is at the scene now. Let's get the very latest from our correspondent, Ifwa Akwa Harrison. Ifwa, what has the former president been doing there?
Well, it's the launch of June 4th support fund led by former President Jerry John Rawlings' daughter, Dr. Senator Rawlings. The aim is to raise 10 million Ghana cedis to help victims of the June 4th flood and fire. Now, the president, former president, John Ejekunkufo, was a special guest of honor at the launch, and he said quite a bit. Key among them is the nation's lack of sustaining its development plans. And he mentioned examples dating back to Buzia's time, Rawlings' time, his own time, and this current government's efforts at dredging the city of filth, and how, there doesn't seem to be a sustainable plan that we've been able to carry forth throughout the year. So that was the key point he made.
Very well. If I'm afraid we'll have to leave it here for now. We'll continue this conversation in subsequent broadcasts. Thank you very much all the same. That's more news after this. Don't go away. Well, a quick reminder of our top stories here on Joy News today. Government has formally kick-started a 3-day national mourning for victims of last Wednesday twin flood and fire disaster. Meanwhile, Minister of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation mandated the EPA to decommission some commercial activities at filling stations in Accra. Member of Parliament for Ododo-Diodio has lashed at Accra Mayor for carrying out an unfair demolition exercise in his constituency. Car owners to pay more for their third-party insurance policy. Those were our top stories for the hour. For more news, visit myjoyonline.com. I am Emmanuel Emmanuel, and I'm grateful for your company throughout the program. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye for now.